Every year, Canadians ask the same question about real estate. Is this the year everything falls apart, or the year it finally makes sense? And heading into 2026, I'll be honest, this is one of the most misunderstood moments we've had in a very long time, because 2026 isn't shaping up to be a crash year, and it's definitely not shaping up to be a boom year either. It's something very, very different. 2026 is shaping up to be a decision-making year. What's happening right now is that choices made back in 2020, 2021, or even 2022 are finally meeting up with today's reality. Ultra-low rates are gone, new rules matter more than ever, and markets aren't moving together anymore. And Canadians are being forced to be more intentional than they've had to be in years. That might sound uncomfortable, but it's not a bad thing. For a lot of people, this is the year where clarity finally replaces confusion. When I talk to clients right now, homeowners, buyers, renters, I'm hearing the same theme over and over again. I don't want hype. I just want to know how to make the right decision for my situation. So instead of throwing predictions at you, because honestly, no one can predict with absolute certainty, I want to walk through what actually matters in 2026 and how these changes show up in your real life. Because once you understand the forces at play, you stop reacting emotionally and you start making smarter decisions around real estate because you have clarity and understanding. Let's start with the biggest pressure point heading into 2026, mortgage renewals. Roughly 1.2 million Canadians are coming up for renewal around this period. And many of those mortgages were taken out with rates between 1.5% to 2%. This doesn't mean the housing market is going to collapse or a collapse is coming. What it means is we're heading into a bit of a reset. A household paying roughly $2,200 a month might now be closer to $2,800 a month. Now, for most families, that's not catastrophic. It is meaningful, but it doesn't mean we're going to see a mass flood of houses hitting the market because people can't afford their payments. And that's why 2026 won't be a foreclosure story. It's going to be a cash flow story. People still pay their mortgages. They're just going to end up traveling less, saving slower, and making fewer impulsive decisions around their finances. The key difference: the people who prepare early, who run the numbers, explore options, and don't blindly accept their bank's first offer, tend to be just fine. The stress doesn't come from renewing. It comes from being surprised by it. And this leads into the next big shift. For the first time in a while, variable rates are quietly making sense again, for some people, of course. Over the last few years, fixed felt like the obvious decision. It was predictable, safe, calm, but heading into 2026, that balance has started to change. Variable rates are often lower than fixed rates now, and the rate environment is expected to be mostly stable. No dramatic cuts, no dramatic hikes. And here's the important part. This is not about chasing the lowest rate. It's about understanding risk tolerance. Variable works for people who can handle short-term movement and care about long-term costs. Fixed works for people who value certainty above everything else. In 2026, the biggest mistake isn't choosing variable or fixed, it's choosing without understanding why you would choose variable or fixed. Because the best mortgage isn't the cheapest one on paper, it's the one that lets you feel calm, flexible, and in control. Now, let's talk about prices, because this is where people expect mass amounts of drama. I don't see 2026 as a year of big price swings. Most forecasts point to a flat or even some modest growth, roughly 1% to 3% nationally. And that matters because flat markets feel very different than the last few years. They're quieter, less emotional, and less rushed. And that's often where the best decisions get made with real estate. What does change is how different properties perform. Well-located family homes tend to hold up better. Oversupplied condos and investor-heavy units can feel pressure. So when people ask, are prices going up or down in 2026, the real answer is, it depends what and where you're buying. That's not a problem. It's a sign that markets are becoming more rational and more independent to Canada as a whole. We're not one country of one market. We're one country of many markets. One of the biggest shifts in 2026 is that Canada stopped behaving like one housing market. Some cities feel heavier, some feel balanced, and some still feel very competitive. Local jobs, population trends, affordability, and supply matter more than ever. This is actually empowering. It means your local market matters more than national headlines. And good advice becomes very situation specific and location specific. Even as rates stabilize, affordability is still the gatekeeper. The mortgage stress test isn't going anywhere. Buyers still have to qualify at rates closer to, 6.5%, even if their actual mortgage is significantly lower. So buyers aren't disappearing, they're adapting. Smaller homes, different neighborhoods, longer amortizations, using tools like the First Home Savings Account or the RRSP program, or potentially buying with parents or partners or family to support the loan. That way you can get in the market and not sit on the sidelines. This slows the market down, and that's not a bad thing. It reduces speculation and forces decisions to be based on real cash flow, not optimism. Population growth has also cooled from the extremes we saw earlier this decade. That doesn't kill demand, but it does moderate it. In some rental markets, conditions ease slightly. More choices, a bit more negotiating power. Not dramatic drops, just balance. And balanced markets are healthier for everyone. When you zoom out, one thing becomes clear. 2026 isn't a year of extremes. It's a year of normalization. And normal markets don't reward panic or prediction. They reward preparation, patience, clear numbers, and realistic planning. So whether you're renewing, buying, renting, or staying put, the goal in 2026 is simple. Be flexible, be realistic, and make decisions that fit your life, not someone else's timeline. The biggest mistake people make isn't choosing the wrong option, it's making the decision based on headlines instead of numbers. Now, if you want help running your own numbers and understanding how this market applies to your situation, I'll put a link down in the description below where you can schedule a call with me or a member of my team where we can run those numbers for you and set up a plan to help you decide what your next step is. You don't need to outsmart the market in 2026. You just need to understand where you stand in it. My name is Myles Nowik of the Nowik Mortgage Team, powered by Indy Mortgage. Thanks so much for watching. We'll catch you on the next one.